Hello and welcome to Talking Truth to Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. We're here on day 10 of the lockdown, the federal lockdown, and just as predicted last weekend, I took a note of it, we have over about 55 to 60,000 cases confirmed in the U.S. of the COVID-19 virus. There's different names for it. I prefer COVID-19. It's a little bit easier to say.
And a third of them are in New York City.
Yes. I heard over half of them. You heard a third?
I heard it was a third. I could be wrong. Because statistics are just going in one ear and out the other.
Oh, yeah. There's so much flying around, you know.
But, I mean, if they can't get rid of the vermin, how are they going to get rid of the virus?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, yes. This is a viral episode like no other, I don't think.
No, I can't. You know, this is all new to me. I don't know about TP, if you've got a store of TP, but I tried to get eggs a few days ago, and I wasn't able to find any eggs. I'm going to make another safari after the show today and see if I can get some eggs. Hopefully it's back a little bit back to normal for these things.
Well, I'm looking forward to that Elton John, hosting that Elton John concert. Did you hear about that?
No.
He's going to host a virus benefit on Fox, of all things.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's atoning for his left-wing bias.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things we'd like to talk about is that is this the end of freedom or is this the end of libertarianism? Take your pick. Because of the massive government response, does it spell that freedom is irrelevant now? What do you think, Lee? Any thoughts?
Well, my thought is that that's been the case for a long time.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
we were the ones trying to save it, and we did what we could.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, people are saying that, well, look, it takes government to do something like this. The private sector can't do it. And I'm getting a lot of flack on the profit motive and how some governments are nationalizing things, like Britain just nationalized the railroads, I understand, and that's supposed to make them run better.
Well, Cuomo wants everything nationalized. That's how the new draft Cuomo movement is underway.
Yes, and yeah, we have been getting our daily dose of the governor of New York.
Yeah.
You know.
And this morning he included his father's image.
Right. And he's already said that you're not going to kill my grandma. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
So, you know, he's thrown down the gauntlet and he's out there explaining things in that monotonous tone of his, you know, day after day.
Yeah.
And at least the president, whether you think he's right or wrong, at least he interacts with the people. He sits down. He takes questions.
Well, have you seen his poll numbers?
Yes. They're
amazing.
They are up.
Yeah.
Yes.
With regards to the actual episode we're going through, he's up to around 60% or something. And then overall, he's back up to 50, which is right where his high mark apparently has been over the last 3 years, so 3.5 years.
You know, and I think I saw on one of Cuomo's broadcasts that leftist slogan, even if it saves one life. Now, come on, people. I mean, people die every day, and there has to be some kind of cost-benefit analysis. And if you're going to deny...
Not for the statists.
Yeah, I know. If
statists don't need that kind of thing. They have their finger in the air. They know these things.
All government all the time, and we'll all be safe. And yes. I don't buy it, of course. I'm not sure I buy that we should be completely open by Easter like the president wants.
It's just a goal.
I know. It is flexible. And... some people are saying, well, China just cut down Wuhan province. They didn't cut down the whole country. They just locked down Wuhan.
I think they probably deep sixed a whole bunch of their own is what I think happened there. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, you know, there were there's a documentary that the BBC was playing about two Chinese people in Wuhan. And you don't get to see videos from inside China very often. Mm-hmm. And one of them had a sick wife, and it detailed how he had to wait for a hospital bed, which he finally got after several days of trying to get her in. And the other one was a volunteer that was driving around with AIDS patients were donating HIV medication, because for a while, I don't know if it's still the case, that they were saying that HIV medication might do something about the virus, might help fight the virus.
Yeah, they're trying all kinds of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I didn't see any jackbooted thugs there.
Well, no, they're not going to be out in the
know.
open. That's not where they...
You know.
Like, that was a long time ago. That was Mao. That was that era.
Right. But, according to some of the people in Washington, you would think that was the case.
Well, they don't like us. I mean, they're stealing our property. Intellectual property is sacrosanct as far as I'm concerned. I mean, for those creative people, they have to be protected. And they're not interested. They've been, and if you're what's worse than stealing someone's property? Only death. Actually taking people out.
But again, patents are in the Constitution, but they're often abused too.
Right, and they've been winking and nodding at this belligerent regime. Our government has been, as Trump points out, for many, many years, letting them get away with it. That's not happening now.
Because the corporations want the market.
Right, exactly. They're globalists. They don't care about the United States of America.
Well, they should care about their own property.
But they don't in the context of globalism.
Well, they don't in the context of a multi-billion-dollar market.
We're talking about wealth that is astronomical for most people to understand. And so that is paramount for them. That's all they care about is wealth. And if they're picking away at their intellectual property, that's not as important as the long-term goal of globalism.
Okay, but it's also the short. You're saying it's a long-term goal. People like Marco Rubio would say it's a short-term goal.
Well, Marco Rubio is new to this discussion.
He's new to most discussions, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he's late to the game, so I'm not all that interested in what Marco Rubio has to say about it. But I've heard some flattering things of late from him. Yeah. But he's late to the game, I can't really take him seriously. Get in line, get in line. We were there first.
All right, well, we hope there's not a long line to get to the radio today and come back after the break. Are you kidding?
Did you see? Oh, you weren't on the freeways probably, but I'd say 1/5 of the normal traffic was out there today. Stay.
It's your worldwide invite to Charbecue, the Butcher's Kitchen. Perfection tri-tip.
This is Oliver X. Join me and the superstar Janez Carter weekday mornings from 8 to 9 on the Reno Todd Tonight Show on America Matters Media.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now, back to the show.
Well, yes, one thing I would have to say about this idea that freedom is dead and so on is that if it weren't the libertarian response to regulations has permeated the Trump's account of or Trump's policy. His whole policy is slashing regulations.
Absolutely, probably even more important than tax cuts.
Right, and you saw the, for example, when it first broke out in Seattle, the first cases, the FDA refused to allow Seattle healthcare workers to test because they didn't have what the proper test was, right. And then they made up a test and they wouldn't let them do that, and that caused an enormous amount of delay. Another thing people don't understand is the vaunted intelligence community, which we're all supposed to believe.
It's in quotes.
Yeah.
It's always in quotes.
Yes. Is the be-all and end-all to keep us safe. There is a intelligence unit totally devoted to predicting pandemics.
Right.
Guess what? They didn't predict the pandemic.
Right.
Which is a long, long laundry list of things that the intelligence community has failed to predict properly.
Or that government manages well. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take civilization, not just our own, but, a globalist perspective of this, to understand that government doesn't do things well.
Right. Yeah, I know.
How long does that take to understand?
The whole infrastructure that we're dealing with, the Federal Reserve and everything else that we're dealing with is the A, B, C, D, E, F, G agencies that are out there, and the
what's that one again?
All the different alphabet soup agencies.
Okay. I thought
that we have. God knows there probably is an agency that's acronym is A, B, C, D, E, F.
Yeah, that one sounded a little unfamiliar.
Yeah. So the alphabet soup agencies and so on that they didn't properly assess 9/11, unless, of course, they weren't supposed to.
Oh, that's a whole other show.
Yeah. But they didn't, and they didn't predict that India had the bomb. They didn't predict Afghanistan. They didn't predict 9/11. They didn't predict so many things in the last 20 years that they were supposed to predict. And yet, of course, they are the intelligence community, and we are supposed to obey people like Brennan and Comey and so on. And
how they get away with it is the most interesting feature for me.
Right.
Because the enemies, the media sources that effectively work for the statist party that you call Democrats, are constantly quoting them as if they are some sort of authority, that they have any kind of legitimacy. That's the part that I find very, very unusual. What are they paying attention to if they really buy into that? How low is their political IQ that they actually...
They're nothing but stenographers, really. I mean, we print what you tell us to. It should be the slogan on the top of the New York Times.
Right, exactly.
And, it's always an anonymous source, a government source. They never come right out and say who told them these things.
But that side of the aisle, that constituency, that demographic, however you want to describe those people, are not paying attention.
Yes.
They may like to think they're paying attention because they have CNN on their on their TV. But it doesn't pass the smell test.
Anderson Cooper told me so.
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
And what is their slogan for years?
What? Come on.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of it.
Oh, okay.
I was hoping you were going to help me.
Oh, CNN.
I don't watch it anymore, so I can't remember. But they had it was a great slogan. I mean, once upon a time, they had a legitimacy when it was Turner's network.
At the very beginning. Yeah. But even then, when it was still statist, but still it was a respectable statism.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They tried to cover both sides of the issue.
And as viewers, we could always read between the lines.
Yes.
Now I don't think it's possible. The cooperation of the part that probably makes it virtually impossible is that they're public school educated. That's the part that they wouldn't be able to read through the lines.
Well, a lot of people say it's class. I mean, it's not only class, but it's Khazar class. I mean, look at the people that own these media outlets, and they are their whole being is in the empire. There's Anglo-American Zionist empire. Globalism.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's And so they have their class interests at hand. They may generously reach down and talk to the everyday person on the streets, but the Democratic...
You mean by condescending?
Yes.
Okay.
But the Democratic Party is becoming more and more the party of the corporate donors, and the Republican Party is at least trying under Trump.
Including the stimulus bill this morning.
Right.
Did you see how virtually every part of that bill leads right back to their donor base, basically?
Mm-hmm. The whole thing about the UBI, whether there's going to be a UBI, whether there's going to be the progressive left is tearing their hair out over this because they want, of course, they also want more government takeover, which I disagree with. But they should be passing the workers first, and then next month or next few weeks, then deal with the corporations. Get the checks out to the workers. Why can't they have a clean bill?
Why couldn't that have been done Sunday?
Yes, it should have been done Sunday.
It's really a disgraceful chapter of our congressional history,
mm-hmm.
of U.S. history.
Yes, and so it's just one in a long line of disgraceful chapters.
Well, but this is a big one.
Yeah, and
because it could get a lot worse really quick.
Yes.
You could get those truckers couldn't deliver food and that sort of thing. You couldn't keep the power on. That kind of thing is now where we are. That's our last line of protection.
Right. Yes. And so if all those workers were to get sick, if the worst case scenario about this virus is true and we start losing those essential services, then, well.
These truck stops came to my attention yesterday. So these truckers that are moving everything around across the country. Mm-hmm. Some of them aren't open, you know. Some of them are vulnerable to the viral Vertex. Because they have, in these truck stops, they have showers. You know, are they...
Yeah, is somebody cleaning these showers?
Yeah, I mean, all of these issues come to the fore, and there's really no answers.
Is somebody making sure they have hand wipes there and everything else?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
and these are great people.
Yeah,
these truckers. You know,
I know.
I think they're the best.
Yep. I was a small trucker, not a large trucker, not a big rig guy, just a small intercity trucker for a while.
Oh, well, that doesn't count.
But the fact, yeah. So the truckers are the backbone, and they are America's heroes during this breakdown, and we should remember that. Because I have to go out now. I wasn't able to get eggs last week, and I don't know. I have.
I had a few eggs.
Yeah, I had a few left over, but once they were gone, I had egg substitutes. You know, those egg bites. Uh-huh. I had a few of those, too. Mm-hmm. But now I have to see if the shelves are restocked after the show.
Well, when I left the program last week, I couldn't find potatoes.
Oh, yeah?
And that's a staple.
Yeah, that comes right down from Idaho.
Yeah, it's right there. Where Mitt Romney is in quarantine. Thanks to our buddy Rand.
Okay. Yeah, Rand was saying he would go in a hazmat suit to cast his vote. Has anybody noticed? I think it just came out today, but guess what? Rootin' Tootin' Putin was the first head of state to dress up in a hazmat suit and visit the sick in Moscow.
Yep.
But he's a thug. We all know he's a thug.
Yeah, because Bolton told us.
Yes.
So when John Bolton speaks, I
listen.
I perk right up.
Yep. And also when our Secretary of State speaks, you know, the latest thing he said, Iran, I believe, deliberately spread the coronavirus to 5 other countries. He's accusing Iran of spreading the virus because, after all, they are the world's greatest source of terrorism.
Yeah.
We all know that because the government tells us that.
They do just about anything. Did he really say that? I didn't hear him say that.
Yeah, he said Iran was responsible for spreading the virus to at least 5 other countries.
Well, was he saying because they didn't take proper measures?
You know, I don't know. I just saw the headlines. I didn't have,
Didn't seal their borders or whatever.
Well, the imams, Qum, the holy city of Qum, where the Shia come and they come. I know it sounds like a naughty word, but it's Qum, or I heard it pronounced. I'm doing a lot of YouTubing lately.
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of world history coming through my TV.
Well, I think we all are.
And but the imams were reluctant to close the holy city, and when the Shia come there, apparently they licked the mosque.
Yeah, they licked the statues. Yeah. Now that's a peculiar thing that you can't possibly understand.
Well, Christians kiss the relics.
It's all superstition. So you can throw it into the same folder, and it's really ridiculous, all of it. So knock that crap off. Whether you're Christian or Muslim, you're doing that kind of stuff, knock that crap off.
Where are the guys with the signs in Central Park? Repent, the end is near.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's a rough patch here, but I hope we can get through it, and we're going to see
the viral Vertex.
Yeah, the viral Vertex, or the doomsday, or the zombie apocalypse is finally upon us.
Well, what Trump is counting on is an apogee of some sort, within the next 3 weeks, so he can have his Easter launch of the private sector. Yes. And we all hope that happens.
Yes, test.
Yep.
I spend a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain, sleet,
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now, back to the show.
Hello, welcome back to Talking Truth to Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Traynor, my co-host, Leland Faegre, and we've been, of course, hoping and that everyone out there listening is asymptomatic and is not infected with the virus as well,
and has food on their table.
TP in the bathroom, and and Purell on the vanity. So
it says here the first U.S. child to die from virus diagnosed after death actually didn't meet the test criteria. Did you hear that story the other day?
No. What does he mean by didn't meet?
This is another one of the media opportunities to blast Trump,
Oh, okay.
Along with that one in that Arizona guy that drank the aquarium cleaner.
Oh, yes, gosh.
Turns out it wasn't the same material at all.
I know.
And this is their viewership. These are the people who watch CNN and MSNBC, so they get away with that. There'll probably not even be a retraction. It's just the way it works. So anyway, the baby that had been previously understood to have died from the virus didn't, in fact, die from the virus, according to this story here. So another one of those false media stories.
And there's going to be false stories. That's understandable.
And it is from them.
Because we don't really have the data to really go by.
Well, that's another thing, though. But if it's deliberate, and they know that, and that's the difference.
So you're saying that there's deliberate propaganda being generated in this?
Can you believe that?
I know. It's so hard, I mean, the Chinese did it through mostly, the American neocons, would have you believe that the Chinese were using outright coercive measures to get people to do things. And there was a good deal of coercion involved, no doubt. But on the other hand, it was mostly through patriotism that the Chinese people responded to what their government said, and that's what's happening in America. Americans are coming together. We have retired garment seamstresses making masks. We have all kinds of stories about people going out of their way to help people. Elton John's giving a concert. Yes,
we're going to find out what this all-star lineup is here while you continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. But,
it's going to be an all-star lineup.
Oh, Mariah Carey. Billie Eilish? I never even heard of him.
Billie Eilish.
Yeah, do you know who that is?
No.
Yeah, my age is showing.
She's a female alternative singer.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Christian.
You're welcome.
The Backstreet Boys, Billie Joe Armstrong. I'm not even sure I know who that is.
Green Day lead singer.
Okay. Tim McGraw. And others yet to be announced. And Alicia Keys will be there. So, well, actually, the performance will be from their own homes via video conferencing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in the next segment, we're going to have an
example.
You're
an investor.
Yeah. Yes. If you have Zoom stock, boy, you're making out every
day.
You're
zooming up.
Yeah. Every day that stock is going up. I wish I had more shares. I only have one little share that I bought months ago, and but every day I look on my Robinhood app and it's climbing again.
Now, what possessed you to buy it in the first place?
I don't know. I can't remember. No,
okay.
I was just curious and buying different stocks. Mm-hmm. But
just diversifying, were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But boy, if I was prescient. Another thing was that gold dipped below 1,500 last weekend, and I was thinking of grabbing a few more ounces, but I didn't, and now it's back up at 1,660 something.
It's hard to imagine this could develop into an inflationary spiral with the amount of debt, around the world now. So I think it's a good time to take profits in gold, actually. Mm-hmm. But I was just seeing here that Drudge went away from me. Sorry. It's
All right.
no longer there. So
Okay.
see if I can find it.
Well, the we have the well, it's almost speechless because there's so much to talk about. You don't know where to start.
Right.
And well, this show is some of the other things that are no longer banned due to COVID-19. Plastic bags. Some of the states that had banned plastic bags before the outbreak, they're no longer banning the use of plastic bags.
It's going to be transformational in a variety of ways.
Yes.
I mean, I think homeschooling is going to surge because people are going to like it.
I hope so.
And they've already apprehensive about the safety of their children when they go off to school anyway, because not only are they dumbing them down, but they can't keep them safe. They're worse than worthless, public schools. So I think there's going to be an enormous trend in that direction as a result of how well this works. My fingers are crossed.
And, the
Oh, look at the phones light up.
If you were a flyer, and there aren't that many planes flying right now, but if you were a flyer, the TSA would not allow you to bring more than 3 ounces of any liquid or gel through the security checkpoints.
Not anymore?
Well, guess what? You can now bring up to 12 ounces of Purell through the checkpoint.
See? So there's some good parts to this.
Yeah,
story.
and the planes are not falling out of the sky.
That's
they,
right.
They may not be taking off, but they're not falling out of the sky.
Well, that's part of it. Huh?
Yeah. And then also the ban on, there's a ban on, and they lifted this ban during the Hurricane Maria. There's a ban on certain, bringing certain cargoes into Puerto Rico unless it's under a U.S. flag. So foreign ships have to offload their cargo to a U.S. ship to get to Puerto Rico. That's been lifted. Why can't they just stop these?
So if it's stupid now, it was always stupid.
Yes, of course it was.
Well, maybe that'll, wear off. People will get that. We'll learn a great deal as a result of this episode.
Yeah, why can't we get rid of some of these bureaucracies and not just the local restaurants and so on? Why can't we just eliminate some of this stuff?
But the reality is these kinds of things tend to grow government.
Of course they do.
In their aftermath. And that's the problem.
So, these temporary bans will no doubt be reinstated at some point, although maybe not. Maybe this will be transformable and a transformative occasion.
One can hope, yeah.
Yes, that we can get rid of some of these ridiculous rules and regulations.
You mean the government could get smaller? That kind of thing?
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
And maybe we could actually just put the Federal Reserve out to pasture?
Well, they've already shot all their ammunition. What have they got left?
Well, they claim they got all kinds of credit they can offer. The deep state has a deep friend in the Federal Reserve, I can tell you that.
Yeah. They're going to expand their balance sheet until it engulfs us all in a sea of red ink. But, what can you say? And, we do have a quote when we were talking about whether there is any possibility that this virus could have been a bioweapon. I have a quote from 2000, the Project for a New American Century, Rebuilding America's Defenses. You remember that, the Neocon Manifesto?
This is John Bolton, Dick Cheney, a bunch of those. In fact,
Richard Pearl, all the original neocons.
A lot of Jews
Wolfowitz,
in there.
Yeah. So, quote, advanced forms of biological warfare that can target specific genotypes may transform biological warfare from the realm of terror to a politically useful tool.
William Crystal.
Yes, William Crystal.
He was the founder, actually.
Yes.
Robert Kagan.
We can go on because all of these people are still, they never go away. They simply transform themselves.
And what they have in common is they're all anti-Trump.
Oh yeah, they're all never Trumpers.
So I don't want our audience not to be lost on that.
But on the other hand, he keeps bringing Trumpers. He keeps bringing these people into his administration. The latest one is this Richard Grenell character. Do you know about him? Mm-hmm. He is a strange dude because he is a gay activist neocon, which I haven't heard before.
You see, the precedent has started years ago, and now he has to sort of flirt with these people in order to get along, and that's what this is all about. I don't think he had a choice in that matter. And most of them are gone anyway. You know this K.T. McFarland. You know that story, right?
Yeah. I know K.T. is not quite a neocon.
Well, she was a member of the Council on Foreign Relations.
And then
she was by definition a globalist. But they went after her like they went after Flynn and some of these other pro-Trump people that Mueller was going after. They went after K.T. McFarland. Can you believe that?
Yes.
So now she's going after them.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad for K.T. She has some spunk. I always liked her.
She does, and she speaks like a never-ending supporter of Donald Trump. So I'm impressed by her.
Yes, good for her.
Yeah.
And but this Richard Grenell guy, his big idea was he wanted the gay rainbow flag to fly on every U.S. embassy.
Right, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
And even Pompeo couldn't go for that. But he is very much a hawk. After the last attack and the series of attacks from so-called Iranian-backed militia, because there's no proof that they, A, did it, or B, that they really are Iranian-controlled.
Right, they're all adjunct groups within,
yes.
You know.
And so he wanted the most violent response. And it was actually Esper who is...
was it?
Yeah, it was Esper that argued against it. The Secretary of Defense, I think is Mike Esper or Mark Esper?
Mark, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Mark. He actually was the dove in this case, and Trump nixed it. But Trump has got to... we're becoming a pariah nation with these sanctions on Venezuela and Iran, and Russia and China are helping these countries, and we're going to be more and more isolated in the world's community unless we start lifting these sanctions.
Some of these signatories to the Project for the New American Century were Elliot Abrams, William Bennett. I see Frank Gaffney there. Yeah, it's a long list. Well, we got one segment left.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsyth Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday, and I want to thank you all. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? 150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. It would put 720 million women back in the workforce. Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. What's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town. Play the radio. Make sure make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
You know the thing, Brendan.
Yeah. Well, last week the left was wondering, where is Joe? Where is Joe? And then suddenly Joe appeared on Sunday, and suddenly they were saying, oh, no, it was Joe.
Yeah, you caught that. I missed a lot of that. So tell us. I mean, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I mean, Biden was, missing in action for the whole week, and Trump, the president, was getting all kinds of polls rising because at least he may have been wrong scientifically about some things, or he may have been pushing the envelope too much to come back, or whatever your criticism you may have of him, but at least he was out there and he was being genuine. He appeared to be genuine. He was answering all the questions. He did snap at that one guy, Peter, from CNN. He snapped at him a little bit.
Well, he deserved it.
Yeah, he did. I mean,
whenever he goes after somebody, you can be sure that they have it coming.
Yeah, and he doesn't go after voters. He goes after the media and the politicians.
That's right, and we know that.
Yeah.
He's made it very clear this is not about him. I mean, he didn't have to do this.
No.
He's not making any money doing this.
No.
He was enjoying himself. He said recently that the day before he came down the escalator was the happiest day of his life.
Melania might have something to say about that. But anyway, the fact is that, Joe was missing in action. He didn't make any appearances. He was completely silent. And then they said that they were trying to fix up his Wilmington home because it didn't have high ceilings, and so there would be a lighting problem for him to make an announcement. So lo and behold, on Sunday he comes out to make the announcement. It looks thoroughly third-rate, completely inept. It looks like the lighting, if that was the problem, the lighting, it looked like a 12-year-old girl's first Instagram video about how to apply makeup. Mm-hmm. It was terrible.
Right.
And then he had either a teleprompter or more likely a cue card malfunction during the show.
And how do you mess up a cue card?
I know.
How does that happen?
You see his hand going desperately,
Yeah. Right.
And then he
can you help me out?
Yeah, I know. He completely lost his train of thought. He had to go, we'll go on to the next thing, or whatever he said, to try and cover it up. And it was a fiasco. And then I didn't see it, but somebody said that Jill had to come out and walk him off the stage.
Yeah, I saw that part. She came out because he didn't apparently know that his segment had ended. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
A normal production
somebody
team
would just go,
there'd be verbal, either
it's a rap, something.
Yeah, some sign language of some sort, yeah. Nothing. He just, I don't know what the deal is with Joe.
Uh-huh.
But who needs the Comedy Channel when you got him?
I know. So this is what the Democrats were waiting for a week, and it was just a total disappointment for those who are
close to the story.
Yeah, those who are close to the story and knew what was going on. And on the other hand, Bernie, he threw a couple. I understand he threw a few floor lamps on the floor, and he had it down to earth. He wasn't behind a podium. He was just talking directly to the people. That's all he needed. He didn't have to get up in a podium and make this formal speech. With all of these plans that he has, he could have just talked to the American people.
Well, somebody should tell his team because he apparently didn't get the note.
The whole thing about his campaign, though, is competence. I am more competent than Donald Trump because I have the Obama team behind me.
And he'll unify the country.
Yes, he's going to bring in Larry Summers.
Why would you want these people coming into our side now?
John Kerry.
Explain to me why these people belong with us.
So, while trying to project competence, he looked totally incompetent. And Bernie looked good. And by the way, did we mention Bernie won a primary?
You mentioned it to me. I didn't see it, but you really found a really important story there.
Bernie won the Democrats abroad primary by 70% to 30%.
Now, how abroad is this?
Anybody living overseas can mail in their ballots, is what I understand. I didn't get any details on it. I don't even know how many ballots they actually counted, but. There's some of the progressives on the left are concerned because the exit polls seem to vary greatly from what the results of the election primaries are.
Shocking.
Yes, according to the global election watchers, if it's more than 3 or 4% variance, then that's a sign of something. But they're reporting 10 or 15% variance.
Does Jimmy Carter know this?
between the election polls and the actual results of the election. So a lot of the progressives are, they may be off their rocker, it may be wrong, but on the other hand, when you get so many signs pointing in one direction, sooner or later you're going to take that road, and
well, I'm not sure that they really want to be, the people that you're talking about, that you're describing, want to be described as progressives. I think they really would prefer just to be called Democrats.
No, the ones I listen to, like Jimmy Dore, some people that have been on not on Trump show, and Tucker Carlson, POTUS 47, they're calling him now, because he drove down to Mar-a-Lago and talked Trump into being more concerned about COVID-19 supposedly, and because he talked Trump out of escalating the war with Iran at one point. So people are calling Tucker POTUS 47.
See, this is what I love about Trump, is that he really does bring everyone into his orbit. He listens to everybody and goes with his instinct. And no matter what they've tried to throw at him, it's failed.
Yeah. And,
I mean, he's now survived impeachment, the most historic viral vertex in possibly in civilization, is now in his lap, and he's accelerating his popularity.
Yes, he's this is
the
new
guy.
Teflon president, but he deserves it basically. I mean that whole Russiagate thing was just totally.
Well, there was
insane.
Nothing. There was never anything.
Nothing
there.
burger that they dragged the country through for 2 years.
And charged us for it.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Millions. Oh, by the way, did you know, it's been in the news, but the federal government dropped the charges against Concord Management.
Yes, I saw that. Huge story.
And the Internet Research Agency.
The IRA.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They totally dropped the charges because Concord 19 actually showed up in court.
Yeah. I don't know whether Mueller didn't think these people were, actually it wasn't Mueller, it was Weissman.
Yeah.
But they didn't think that they were going to have a legal team. I mean, these people not only are they unscrupulously corrupt, I don't think they're all that smart.
Wow.
For them to find themselves embarrassed by this reversal of fortunes. I just think it's very, very interesting to watch.
Well, government is the art of never saying you're sorry. They used to say New York City, the people in New York, the slogan should be never say you're sorry, because of how rude New Yorkers are supposed to be. But that's the thing about the state. The state never admits that, and never apologizes, never admits. At least our state never does. Mm-hmm. Yeah, our deep state.
Well, I think one of the most unfortunate parts of this story, and by the way, I wanted to hold up my sample ballot from Los Angeles for our viewing cameras here, because nobody would believe that I'm still registered to vote in Los Angeles, and I've been living here for 12 years. But now I can actually throw it away. I want the record to show that I actually received the sample ballot. But it looks like that for most people, and you were in New York, you lived in New York, but I can't imagine it not being the center of this virus now, because people are crammed up against each other. Metal is everywhere. When last I was there, I didn't want to take the subway because I didn't want to touch anything.
Well, the subway is filthy in New York.
Yeah, it was always filthy.
Yeah, well, I've been to the Ukraine and Moscow, and their subways are beautiful.
Is that right?
Yeah. They have artwork all over the place. There's no ugly graffiti on the and they keep the subways clean. And as a matter of fact, that's another thing that we should talk about, is that they use the subways for civil defense. We have no civil defense in this country. Mm-hmm. Even though nuclear weapons is a dangerous threat, like Tulsi said when they sounded the alarm in Hawaii, when they thought North Korea had launched a missile on Hawaii, they said, "Go to your shelter." I said, "What shelter? Where do we go?" Mm-hmm. And we have no organized civil defense in this country.
You don't even have personal defense, because did you see where Gil Garcetti in Los Angeles is shutting down the gun shops?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, if this thing gets really ugly.
You know where they're buying guns? Hungary.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
A 500% increase in gun sales in Hungary. They're battening down.
We could be safer elsewhere.
Yes.